Hey posers, welcome to another one of the Black and White Delights reviews of the draft. That's right, this right now I'm going to be taking you down the list of all 30 superstars who have been drafted to, well, our SmackDown because there's no ECW. And I guess there wasn't any last year either. So anyway, I can't believe it's been over a year since ECW went under. It brings back such memories. Anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna make this quick. What it's gonna be is it's gonna be a countdown and my quick thoughts from 30. 30 people were drafted, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to run through who was drafted, and I'm starting at 30, which is my least favorite draft, to number 1, which was my favorite draft. Like, you know, where they went. So let's kick it off at number 30. John Cena. Oi, you should have seen Bobby Black on the chats. I'll tell you what, when John Cena was drafted to SmackDown, he went ballistic. When I heard about it, I was going ballistic, dude. I was so freaking mad when I heard John Cena was drafted to the Blue Brand. Ugh, you have no idea how pissed I was. So, as you can all tell, I'm not a Cena mark. So, you can't see SmackDown. Number 29 is Rey Mysterio. I'm not a fan of him moving only because Raw, they've done this a couple years ago. Raw is not Rey's brand. They're not probably going to use him right. He's on his last leg anyway. So maybe it's a good thing that he went there. I don't know. But I know it's Mario's favorite wrestler, but I just don't think this is a good move for Rey, especially to finish out his career, which should be coming up in the next year or two, from what I understand. Number 28 is the Great Khali coming to my brand, SmackDown. Why does the Punjabi jobber have to come to my brand? I didn't even know he was on Raw until, like, he was drafted to SmackDown. Number 27 is the All-American Jack Swagger. Even though I saw this draft pick coming, it kind of upset me just because Jack Swagger's an excellent wrestler, and he's coming along. He's a former world champion on SmackDown, and he was getting exposure on Raw. So I saw it coming, but I'm not exactly thrilled about it because there was another great wrestler like Rey Mysterio who, you know, was just drafted to Raw. Number 26 is The Big Show going to Raw. I didn't like this only because the Big Show is so much better on SmackDown. They let him use his comedy more. They don't, you know, Big Show tends to be more of a heel on Raw and a face on SmackDown. So I don't know if I agree with this one. Coming in at number 25 is Beth Phoenix. Now, I know SmackDown has not been using Beth Phoenix exactly well recently, but it's just I kind of wish that they would have kept her on a little bit longer, at least to give her a chance to kind of get into a new role on SmackDown. Maybe the move to Raw is good, but I am never a fan of Beth Phoenix leaving SmackDown, only because she's an amazing female wrestler, and that sucks that we lost her. Number 24 is Ted DiBiase Jr. coming to SmackDown. The only reason why I don't agree with this is just because what is Ted DiBiase Jr.? What is he at this point? A jobber. We don't really need another jobber on SmackDown. We need, and I mean, granted, SmackDown may use Ted DiBiase better. Look what they did with Cody Rhodes. They made him a, like, almost main event player, feuding with Rey Mysterio. But I think Cody Rhodes is, believe it or not, going to be the shining star out of the priceless tag team. So, I don't know. I'm kind of getting into the, like, I don't cares of this draft, but I still kind of don't agree with this one only because I think Ted DiBiase kind of fit in better on Raw. They just needed to use him better. Number 23 is Kurt Hawkins to Raw. I disagree with this one only because Kurt Hawkins was starting to get a good character on SmackDown. More on Superstars, but the SmackDown portion of Superstars, I just don't think Raw Creative is going to use him very well. I mean, they haven't been using Zack Ryder very well. I mean, granted, Zack's kept his gimmick, but, you know, I don't know. Kurt Hawkins isn't going to do much on Raw either, so it's kind of an I don't care, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to benefit him. Number 22, Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston is someone who SmackDown, again, has not been using well like Beth Phoenix, but has so much potential. I always enjoy Kofi Kingston's matches on SmackDown. They always let him go. They always give him time in matches so he has a chance to shine. So, yeah, his character was stale on SmackDown, but they could have done something else with him, and I think Michael Hayes would have done a good job with him, so I don't really agree with moving him to Raw, but maybe this is what his character needs. Again, I'm kind of getting into the not too awful phase. Alberto Del Rio is number 21. And the reason why he's kind of on the bad end of this list is only because it was expected, yes, it was very expected, but I really don't. I think his career will, he just got in the world title picture. I think he's going to kind of stall for a little bit because he moved brands. I really think they needed to keep him on SmackDown until next year. Then he could have moved to Raw. All right, now we're going to get into the real I don't cares about who was drafted. So I may not say too much about these guys. Tyler Rex, that comes in at number 20. Tyler Rex was drafted to Raw. He's a big guy, like Snitsky, like Mike Knox, he'll be gone. I mean, he's going to Raw. He'll be gone within the year, I'd say. Alex Riley to SmackDown. Well, Mrs. Lackey gonna try to get out on his own. He'll be released probably soon, or at least sent back to FCW. Yoshitatsu comes in at number 18, and I think this guy has a little bit of potential. I know a lot of people say he has a lot of potential, but I don't think Yoshitatsu, and definitely SmackDown is Yoshitatsu's show because obviously they're going to emphasize more of his wrestling, but he does it on Superstars anyway. So hopefully, honestly, Yoshitatsu is not too impressive to me, and I really don't care. So he's going to SmackDown, so he might have a chance to shine better. '17 is JTG, was moved to Raw. Don't care, really. I mean, he was a jobber on SmackDown. He's going to be a jobber on Raw, probably released. Number 16, 15, and 14 are Jay, Jimmy, and Tamina. No particular order, because I really don't care. The only thing that I like about it is that it's a credible tag team on SmackDown. That's about it. Number 13 is Chris Masters. I kind of agree with this one only because, I mean, it's still kind of like an I don't care, but I still agree with it only because Masters always did better on Raw, and I think he's written better on Raw. He'd been doing great on SmackDown as a Superstars person, but I think Masters can make a little bit more leeway on Raw. Number 12 is Mizak Henry. And he gave us a heel turn on Monday Night Raw in the tag match. I like Mark Henry. I am a fan of his. Granted, he's not a great wrestler. But he's not slow. He's a good in-ring worker. I've always liked him. But him coming back to SmackDown is good. Number 11, Tyson Kidd. The only reason why he's not higher up on the list is because D.H. Smith did not come with him. And I know D.H. Smith is going to MMA probably, but I was kind of hoping Tyson Kidd and D.H. Smith and Natalya would get together as the Hart Dynasty on SmackDown again and bring some credibility to the tag division. So that's the only reason why he's number 11 on the list. Otherwise, but I mean, definitely Tyson Kidd will have a chance to show his potential on SmackDown a lot more than on Raw. Number 10, boiling down the top 10 now of the people that I like where they were drafted, is Natalya Neidhart. She is probably one of my favorite diva wrestlers next to Beth Phoenix and Alicia Fox right now, and Gail Kim, who barely ever gets any TV time really. But really, I mean, Natalya coming back to SmackDown means we'll get to see a lot more Natalya wrestling instead of whatever she's been doing over the past couple months, last year, since she's been drafted to Raw. Number 9 is Sheamus to SmackDown. I am incredibly stoked that Sheamus is coming to SmackDown. I think it's great for him. He's a young guy. He needs to get a push on SmackDown and probably go for the world title as a heel. Number 8 needs to be Sir William Regal. Mr. Regal is he's a phenomenal wrestler. Every time he is on the SmackDown brand, he brings an excellent amount of wrestling. And he's like Jericho. You can put anyone over. Number 7, Kelly Kelly. I'm so glad that she is off of SmackDown. I could barely take any more of her crappy diva wrestling. Number 6 is Alicia Fox. Wesley, this goes out to you. She's quite a fox. Anyway, Alicia Fox, great wrestler. I've seen some great matches with her in WWE. I mean, they don't let her wrestle too much, but she's a former Divas champ, and I think she will be able to shine on SmackDown. So I'm glad Alicia Fox is on SmackDown. Number 5 is Sin Cara. What to say about Sin Cara? Rey Mysterio's replacement. Drew McIntyre going to Raw is number 5, and I agree with this. I like Drew McIntyre, but it's another thing about his character getting stale, and I think that Drew moving to Raw will be a good move, only because Drew needs someone who can write him better, and I think that Raw Creative will do Drew McIntyre better. They did a great job with Orton a couple years ago, revamping his character. So I think Drew McIntyre needs that kind of transformation. I think Raw could do that. There's very few things that Raw Creative is good at, but taking a character like Drew McIntyre and turning him into a credible heel is probably one of their strong suits. Getting into the top 3 now, which is Randy Orton coming to SmackDown. Hey, nothing you can say. Randy Orton coming to SmackDown is awesome. I've been waiting for 2 or 3 years for this to happen. Randy Orton has needed to come back to SmackDown where Orton can shine, because Orton's a young guy who still has some wrestling talent in him. And he's kind of he does the best he can on Raw, but I think SmackDown Creative will do a wonderful job with him and do great things with his character. I'm kind of hoping they turn him heel again. Number 2 is Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, one of the best wrestlers in a long time in the WWE. probably the best up and coming replacement for Chris Benoit. It's okay. Daniel Bryan coming to SmackDown was definitely a good thing. And my number one draft for this year's draft is John Cena going back to Raw. Thank the Lord that John Cena went back to Raw. Because I'll tell you what, I was so pissed off when they said that John Cena was coming to SmackDown. And things got better because we got Sin Cara, Mark Henry, and Randy Orton. But John Cena going back to Raw just made my night. I mean, really, it's just like, oh gosh, thank goodness. I don't care if it was predictable. I don't care if it was sleazy. I don't care if it's never been done. I'm just glad that it happened. So, number one on my list is John Cena going back to Raw. So I started this list off with hating John Cena coming to SmackDown, and I ended it with John Cena going back to Raw and loving it. Eat that, Cena. Anyway, so I guess that wraps it up for the draft. This year's draft was pretty good. I just think there were too many draft picks. I really think they need to boil it down to like 15, or either that or like 10 people per show get drafted. Just because there's too many people, and all it's going to be is just the same matches, just on a different show. Either that, or they're all still being superstars. They'll just have different commentators. So really, the draft kind of needs to be scaled back. There needs to be either a maximum of 10 per show, or 5 or 6 per show that get drafted to one or the other. Just to change it up enough, you do like 3 main eventers and a couple mid-carder and undercarders, just to change it up a little bit. But you don't need to draft a whole part of the roster. Like I want to say most of the undercard and midcard have been drafted to the other show. So it's like we're gonna have the same undercard and midcard matches, just with different commentators. So anyway, I guess that wraps it up for my review. Please leave your comments. Go to WrestlingRevolution.com, the epic center for all your wrestling needs. I'm Grumpy Cheeto, and I am